if you've spent, any time working with modern language models, you know the friction. I mean, you have access to this trillion parameter behemoth.
Right. The zero-shot inference is just off the charts.
Exactly. It can write Python scripts in seconds, and it has practically read the entire internet. But if you actually drop into that chat interface and type like, find the cheapest flight from Dhaka to Singapore next Tuesday and book it, the illusion completely shatters.
Yeah, you definitely don't get a ticket.
No, you get a highly articulate, beautifully structured essay about how one might, theoretically search for a flight.
Which honestly exposes a massive limitation to the architecture.
Yeah.
That essay is generated because standard models are trapped in a single forward pass.
Right.
They receive a prompt, they calculate the statistical probabilities for the next sequence of tokens, they generate that text, and then they completely shut down.
They're essentially stateless.
Exactly. They're completely stateless with no hands to actually interact with a live database and absolutely zero capacity to verify if the text they just generated maps to reality.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to today's deep dive. We have an incredible stack of sources on the table today, including some pivotal research papers by Shunyu Yao and Noah Shin, alongside some deep architectural notes on how enterprise AI systems are actually being built.
And our mission today for you, the listener, is to uncover the planning loop. It's this hidden engine of autonomy that takes a passive text predictor and transforms it into an active agent capable of getting real messy work done.
Yes. By the end of this deep dive, you are going to understand the 3 distinct philosophies powering the world's most advanced AI agents. We're looking at ReAct, Plan and Execute, and Reflection.
So to understand those 3 philosophies, we really have to look at the mechanics of how an agent processes reality. Because an agent isn't just a model. It's a model embedded inside a continuous software loop.
Right, and that loop relies on 3 very distinct beats, doesn't it?
It does. First is the thought, where the model generates a reasoning step about its current state. Second is the action, where the system actually pauses the model and executes a command like firing off an API call or, running a web search.
Oh, wow. So it actually stops and does something.
Exactly. And third is the observation, where the raw data from that search is fed back into the model's context window. So it's thought, action, observation, then it loops.
Which sounds, honestly, suspiciously like a concept from military strategy. If anyone listening is familiar with fighter pilot tactics, that is essentially the ODA loop.
Oh, yeah. Observe, orient, decide, act.
Exactly. The pilot who processes the change in reality and acts on it faster wins the dogfight. It sounds like AI developers have basically just ported John Boyd's military doctrine directly into Python code.
That is a phenomenal parallel. I mean,
Yeah.
it is the exact same iterative, cyclical processing of reality. AI agents use that OD loop to chip away at a complex task, just one verifiable step at a time.
But let me challenge the necessity of that loop for a second here, because if we are utilizing models with massive context windows and incredible reasoning capabilities, forcing them to take tiny iterative baby steps feels a bit inefficient.
I can see why you'd say that.
Right. Like, why not just pass the massive complex goal into the model and let it calculate the final output in one giant cognitive leap? I'm guessing this comes down to risk mitigation. A giant leap feels like a recipe for a silent, catastrophic failure.
You've hit the nail on the head. Developers call this the necessity of failing loudly.
It's failing loudly.
Yeah. If you force a model to ingest a massive multi-step problem and output the final solution in a single zero-shot generation, and it hallucinates on step 2 well, the entire rest of the output is poisoned.
And because it's a black box, it fails silently. You just receive a confident, completely incorrect answer.
Precisely.
So a loop forces the model to actually show its math in the real world. Like, if the agent tries to execute a web search on step 2 and the API crashes, the script halts. It fails loudly.
Right. The error is localized, caught, and can be addressed without poisoning the entire operation.
Which brings us to the actual implementation. Like, how do developers force a model to run this loop?
Well, the earliest and most foundational pattern comes from a 2022 paper by researcher Shunyu Yao. We're going to call this first pattern the tactician.
Formerly known in the literature as ReAct, which is basically a mashup of reason and act.
What's fascinating here is how ReAct elegantly dismantled one of the most stubborn issues in early generative AI, which was the chain of thought hallucination.
Oh, I remember this. A few years ago, the ultimate prompt engineering hack was just telling the model to think step by step.
Yes.
And its accuracy on math and logic puzzles would just skyrocket. But there was a fatal architectural flaw, wasn't there?
There was. That entire chain of reasoning happened inside a closed loop. The model was bouncing ideas off its own internal pre-trained weights.
So if its internal data was stale, it would use impeccable logic to confidently arrive at a completely fictional conclusion.
It would hallucinate fluently. ReAct solved this by severing that closed loop. It literally forces the model to braid its internal generation with external reality.
Let me pull a specific example from the source material here, because I think tracing the actual text generation makes this click. Say you ask an agent, is the author of the Foundation series still alive?
Right, a standard model might confidently spit out a guess based on some blurred training data.
Exactly. But a ReAct agent is prompted to output a specific format. It generates the text thought. I need to find out who wrote the Foundation series. Then it generates action. Search Foundation series author.
And this is the critical mechanical moment. The overarching script sees that action command, and it physically pauses the language model.
Wait, the text generation just starts.
It stops. The software takes over, runs the actual Google search, scrapes the result, and injects that text back into the prompt as an observation. It literally pastes in Isaac Asimov.
Wow.
Then the LLM wakes back up. It reads that new reality, and its next thought is grounded.
That makes so much sense. Thought. The author is Isaac Asimov. I now need to search if Isaac Asimov is alive. Action. Search Isaac Asimov death date. It essentially feels its way forward.
Which is exactly why it acts as a tactician. It doesn't commit to a grand strategy in advance. It takes a step, looks around the corner, and decides the next step based on what it sees.
So this reactivity makes it brilliant for open-ended exploratory tasks. Like if you are deploying an agent to debug a messy code base where you have no idea what the root cause is, a ReAct agent will organically trace the errors down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. But as you might guess, the tactician has a glaring vulnerability.
Yeah, if you ever watched a ReAct agent try to execute a task that requires 20 or 30 steps, you've seen it absolutely lose its mind.
Oh, totally. Because it's only looking one step ahead, it wanders. The context window fills up with all these previous thoughts and observations, and the model essentially gets cognitive overload.
Right. It forgets what the original goal was and gets stuck in an infinite loop running the exact same failed web search 10 times in a row. It basically has the memory and focus of a goldfish.
The ReAct framework simply cannot maintain a long-term narrative trajectory. If you need an agent to stay on track for a complex, multi-stage project, you cannot let it decide every single step on the fly. You have to impose rigid structure.
Which introduces our second architecture, plan and execute. If ReAct is the tactician, plan and execute is the map maker.
I love the analogy the sources use here.
Yeah, it's great. ReAct is like being dropped into a foreign city and just walking up to every intersection, looking at the traffic, and deciding right then whether to turn left or right.
Yeah.
You are entirely reactive.
Whereas plan and execute is like sitting at a cafe with a map, plotting out a 10-step turn-by-turn route, and only starting the engine once the entire map is drawn.
Architecturally, you are splitting the task into two entirely separate cognitive roles, the planner and the executor.
Exactly. You pass the user's prompt to the planner, whose sole job is to analyze the goal and output a static, comprehensive checklist. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3.
And once that list is finalized, the executor takes over and simply grinds through the steps sequentially. Now, looking at the enterprise architecture notes in our sources, there is a massive behind-the-scenes advantage to separating these roles.
Token economics.
Right. Having a massive model micromanage every single granular action is basically financial suicide for a startup.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the token cost scaling of a pure ReAct loop is brutal. Every time a ReAct agent takes a new step, you have to pass the entire history of its previous thoughts and actions back to the API.
Wow, so if you are using an expensive frontier model like GPT-4 and the task takes 50 steps, your token costs grow quadratically. It is exorbitant.
It really is. So plan and execute acts as an economic shield. You call the expensive, heavy-duty model exactly once to act as the planner. It uses its massive parameters to write the complex map.
Then you hand that map off to a much smaller, cheaper open source model like Llama 3 to act as the executor.
Exactly. The executor doesn't need to understand the grand strategy. It just needs a tiny context window that says, your only job is to execute step 3. Scrape this specific URL.
You isolate the heavy reasoning from the basic execution. For a developer, this API routing strategy can cut operational server costs by 80%. It is literally the difference between a viable product and an architecture that bankrupts you.
It's an incredibly elegant engineering trick, but there is a catch.
I see a fatal flaw in the map maker's logic here. What happens when reality refuses to cooperate with the map? Like, the genius planner writes a beautiful 10-step checklist, but on step 2, the cheap executor hits a website that is throwing a 404 error.
Right, the data isn't there.
The map is instantly obsolete. Doesn't a purely rigid executor just take that garbage data from step 2, feed it into step 3, and march straight off a cliff?
Yes. This is the exact reason early plan and execute systems failed in the real world. You cannot hard-code reality.
So how did they fix it?
To survive, the architecture requires a mechanism called replanning. The system needs a built-in circuit breaker. When the executor detects an anomaly, like a 404 error or a bizarre data format, it has to halt, throw the stale map in the trash, and call the expensive planner back into the loop.
Ah, so it passes the arrow back to the heavy model and says, reality just surprised us. Draw me a new map from this exact location.
Exactly. Constant replanning saves the agent from walking off the cliff.
But honestly, there's a huge difference between fixing a broken map and learning not to draw bad maps in the first place. I mean, even with replanning, ReAct and plan and execute lack a fundamental human trait.
They really do.
If you or I touch a hot stove, we don't just recalculate a new route to the sink, we internalize the burn so we never touch the stove again.
Right. But both of the previous patterns are entirely stateless across different sessions. If they fail a complex task on Monday and you give them the exact same task on Tuesday, they will make the exact same mistakes before eventually replanning their way out of it.
They don't learn.
They don't learn.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. In 2023, researcher Noah Shin introduced our third architecture, Reflexion. This pattern gives an AI agent the ability to write a self-critique after a failure. It is the learner.
But we need to clarify what learning actually means in this context, because we aren't talking about traditional machine learning, are we?
Not at all. In traditional machine learning, like how these models are initially trained learning, means running terabytes of data through a supercomputer, using complex calculus to adjust the microscopic internal mathematical weights of the neural network.
Which requires massive compute and permanent structural changes to the model.
Exactly. Reflection bypasses all of that. It uses a mechanism called verbal reinforcement learning.
Verbal reinforcement. So the learning happens in plain English, not in math. Walk us through the actual mechanism of how that works in the context window.
Remember that language models are stateless. They don't have human memory. To give them memory, you have to inject text into their system prompt before you hit send. In the reflection architecture, when an agent fails a task, a separate evaluator prompt triggers.
Okay.
It forces the model to look at its own failed trajectory and write a plain English autopsy of what went wrong.
It essentially forces the model to talk to itself. It writes a string of text like, I failed because I tried to use a deprecated API endpoint.
Exactly. And here's the magic trick. The overarching script takes that plain English self-critique and automatically appends it to the hidden system prompt for the next attempt.
Oh, wow. So when the agent tries the task again, it is literally forced to read its own apology and its own lessons learned before it generates a single new thought.
The source material has a brilliant coding scenario that illustrates this perfectly. If you've ever used AI to write Python scripts, you know it often generates code with subtle bugs.
Oh, constantly.
Imagine an agent writes a script to sort a database, but it fails a unit test. A naive ReAct agent will just look at the error and blindly try rewriting the code, often making the exact same syntax mistake.
It just thrashes around in the dark.
But a reflection agent pauses. It reads the error log, and it writes a verbal critique into its memory bank. The function crashed because I failed to handle the edge case where the database list is empty, which caused an index error.
It stores that specific insight.
Yes. On the second loop, the system prompt secretly injects that note. The model approaches the code generation with that lesson actively sitting in its working memory context. It writes the code, handles the empty list, and passes the test.
What you are seeing there is the absolute fusion of memory and planning. Planning generates the action, reality provides the failure, and the memory system, the reflection layer, translates that failure into a permanent behavioral constraint.
Without memory, reflection is impossible. And without reflection, autonomy is just a brittle script waiting to break.
So we have the three philosophies on the table now.
We do. We have ReAct, the nimble tactician feeling its way forward. We have plan and execute, the map maker leveraging token economics to navigate long tasks. And we have Reflection, the self-correcting learner updating its own context window.
So the big question is, if someone listening to this is architecting an enterprise agent tomorrow, which pattern do they choose?
The secret of state-of-the-art AI development is that you don't choose. You use all three. The most capable production agents operating today are essentially highly structured corporate
I
environments.
really like that analogy. Let's map these patterns to a corporate structure. How does the hierarchy work?
Well, plan and execute operates as middle management. It receives the massive overarching objective from the user, and it delegates that objective into a structured step-by-step map. Then it hands those individual steps down to the frontline workers.
And the frontline workers are running React loops.
Exactly. Inside step 2 of the master plan, a tiny React loop fires up to nimbly navigate the messy, unpredictable reality of a specific web search or API call. It handles the micro adjustments.
Which leaves Reflexion as the board of directors. It sits entirely outside the day-to-day execution.
Right. It watches the overarching process, and when middle management's plan completely falls apart, the board steps in, runs an autopsy, writes a scathing, plain English memo about what went wrong, and mandates that middle management keep that memo on their desk for the next attempt.
It is a cohesive, three-layered machine, the structure of a map, the adaptability of a tactic, and the persistence of memory.
That architectural synthesis is exactly what separates a frustrating chatbot gimmick from a serious, autonomous agent capable of operating reliably in the real world.
So what does this all mean? Why does diving into the architectural weeds matter to you, the listener?
It matters because the tech industry is currently drowning in AI hype right now. Every software company is suddenly claiming to sell autonomous agents.
But 90% of these tools are just naive, basic React loops wrapped in a shiny user interface.
Exactly. And the moment you give them a messy, real-world workflow that requires 20 steps and hits a single roadblock, they completely shatter. They get stuck in endless loops, burning through API credits without ever achieving the goal.
They lack the architecture to survive contact with reality.
So, the next time you are evaluating an AI tool, whether you are deciding to build an in-house solution for your company, or you are considering paying a massive subscription fee for an enterprise platform, you shouldn't just be asking, are you using GPT-4 or Claude?
Right. The underlying model is becoming commoditized anyway.
You need to be interrogating their architecture. How does your agent plan? If a database is down, does it blindly march off a cliff? Or can it throw out the map and replan?
Does it have a verbal reinforcement layer to actually reflect on its failures across sessions?
Because a slightly older model running inside a brilliant reflective planning loop will consistently outperform a genius frontier model trapped in a naive loop.
And if we push this trajectory to its logical extreme, it raises an incredibly provocative question. Right now, these agents are evaluating their own performance within the boundaries of the planning loops that we designed for them.
Right. ReAct, plan and execute, reflection. These are all human-conceived architectures modeled loosely on human cognition.
We basically taught them how to think.
We did. But what happens when an advanced agent running a massive reflection layer reflects on a failure and realizes that the human-designed OODA loop itself is the bottleneck?
Oh, wow.
Because it is using plain English verbal reinforcement to critique its own operational parameters, it isn't bound by our code. Could a future agent critique our architecture and invent entirely new alien planning patterns that human engineers haven't even conceived of yet?
It wouldn't just be learning how to solve the task better. It would be learning how to think about the task in a fundamentally non-human way.
That is deeply unsettling, but absolutely fascinating. An alien OODA loop optimizing itself in plain English.
Well, the next time you ask a chatbot to book you a flight to Singapore and it spits out a polite essay, you'll know exactly what's missing under the hood.
It needs a loop, a map, and the capacity to realize when it's wrong. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the tech, and we'll catch you next time.